Hey losers, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a nice ambient rain sound and also probably a less ambient thumping and thudding in the background because my poor puppy she got spayed. She came home yesterday from getting spayed, so she has a big e-collar on and she is still trying to figure out how to navigate her life with that for the next 2 weeks. And it's pretty humorous for us and probably very, very sad for her. I asked the vet like 4 times, like just to make sure, please, I can't forget to ask you, please send us home with tranquilizers because I don't know what I'm gonna do if she is not like fucking zonked out for a few days afterwards. She's so enthusiastic. They said that she's spirited is what they said, and I was like, yes, that is correct. So now please give me the drugs for her. I'm just really concerned that she's gonna pop a suture. She's she's not tiny, she's a giant reindeer in my house. She's always like bouncing around. I'm like, oh my god, how are we going to survive these 10 days before she gets her sutures out? But it'll be okay. That's what this nice rain sound is for. Just like a nice calming. Anyway, I'm here to talk about books, not dogs. We're going to be talking about readalikes for things, or also vice versa. If you've read the book and haven't seen the corresponding media suggestion, maybe you could, watch that. So these are based off of like plot. These are based off of vibes I get. And also this is just my opinion. So this could work for you. This could not work for you. It's just, your mileage may vary kind of situation, but when I was reading these books, this is the TV show or movie that I thought of as I was consuming them. So first, of course, I have to talk about the book that I don't have a physical copy of, or else I will forget about it. I've watched the 1999 M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Sixth Sense. You should read Ghost Eaters by MacLeod Chapman. Some of these, I'm gonna feel kind of funny. Like, have you heard of this groundbreaking movie from the late 90s? The Sixth Sense. So Ghost Eaters is about a young woman who is in a really, I feel like the word toxic is like kind of a buzzword and it's used over and over again in ways it shouldn't be, but she is in this friendship that could be labeled toxic. It's a friendship where neither of these people are benefiting from it really in any real way. A friend is an addict and he was in rehab and now he's not. She offers to let him stay with her, but then she's like, okay, actually, this is not gonna work out. And soon after he dies, and she finds this drug that he had been taking. And this drug allows you to see the dead. And some of the scenes in this book really reminded me of The Sixth Sense. Just ghosts popping up in places where they shouldn't. You know what I mean? And when I say they shouldn't, I mean like, when you think of ghosts, you're like, oh, in my spooky haunted house at night. Not like I'm going to my family's house to have dinner and there's a ghost here, you know what I mean? Like in very inopportune places and at very inopportune moments. And that gave me the real Sixth Sense vibes. The Sixth Sense, of course, being about a little boy who can see ghosts. And so I think that those are good. If you've read or watched this, you might like to read or watch that. Good. I don't know what's the word for that. Comparisons? Similar vibe type media things. If you've watched the 1975 documentary Grey Gardens, you should read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, about Edith and Edie Beale. Oh man, the first time I saw this, I was like, is this real? It's just like one of the most surreal, strange things I've ever seen. This is a documentary about these two women living in this house that at one point must have been gorgeous and fairly opulent, I would assume. And in the years, this family has lost their wealth, and now it is like literally falling apart, and they're like cats and raccoons living in it with this like elderly woman and her aging daughter. And it's like the elderly woman, like, you know, in a couple years, she's not going to be able to even get around this place. So it's really interesting, especially because this family at one point had like the ins with political stuff. They were, I think, maybe, I don't know, maybe cousins to Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. So it's like, you know, they were highfalutin at some point, and then what happened? And it's just this simmering thing, like in We Have Always Lived in the Castle, the state of the house that they're in, and you know, it's falling apart. There's not much they feel they can do about it. And so it's just one of those situations where they just have to like tuck it away almost so that they're able to go on with their lives, I guess. I don't know. It's a feeling that can't feel good. It's almost like it's depressing, I guess, really. And in this book, it's not quite to the point of Grey Garden's house, but it's like, it could get there, you know? So this is like a vibes type of thing, not so much a plot type of thing, but that's the vibes I was getting, the manner I was sort of picturing when I read this book. If you liked the 1997 Guillermo del Toro movie Mimic, you should read the Paperbacks from Hell classic, The Nest by Gregory Douglas. Both of these are about mutant cockroaches killing people. In the Mimic, there is this like disease going around, and these like genetically engineered, I don't know, biologically engineered cockroaches are created, and it's like, it goes wildly out of control, and they get really big and scary. And in this, some like, it's like this garbage dump mishap with like toxic waste creates these huge cockroaches that start murdering people on this small New England island, and it's just really perfect and creepy. So this one's more the plot is similar with it, or I guess, I don't know, maybe not so much the plot, but the monsters in this are very similar. The giant man-eating cockroaches. It just, I hate it. I hate it so much, but I also love it because I hate it so much. If you liked the 2017 movie Mother by Darren Aronofsky, you should read We Can Never Leave This Place by Eric LaRocca. This is a similar kind of vibes and maybe similar plot point book where our main character here has some uninvited guests that they can't get rid of. Someone else in their home has invited these guests, and it's, for me at least, very anxiety inducing. In both cases, some terrible things happen because of these guests. These guests have very much overstayed their welcome. Like, I really would not be surprised if LaRocca came out and said that some of the circumstances in this novella were inspired by Mother. This is, oh my gosh, like, if you've read this, watch this. If you've watched this and haven't read this, you really gotta pick this up. If you liked the 1991 Wes Craven movie, The People Under the Stairs, you should read Touch the Night by Max Booth III. In Touch the Night, we're following a boy who, well, two boys who are kidnapped by the police. They look like police, and they're taken back to this home and chained to the basement, and they find out that this family who lives in this home are very fucking strange. And so this is more of a vibes type of thing with the family and being trapped in the home. That is similar to The People Under the Stairs. That is about this boy named Fool who is doing a little breaking and entering, and he gets a lot more than he bargained for when he finds out on the people who own the house that he's breaking into are fucking weirdos, and they're keeping a horde of children in their basement. It's very strange. Both of these are very strange, and kind of like, they kind of toe the line of being comical. I think all of Max Booth's stuff does that. It's like he's just very funny, but also like, it's not comedy. It's like really dark humor, I think. Yeah, I don't know. So these are both similar. If you've watched this, read this. If you've read this, watch that. If you liked the 2007 movie 30 Days a Night, directed by David Slade, you should read Snow by Ronald Malfi. In Snow, we're following a main character who he's trying to make a flight to see his son. Everything's delayed because of the snowstorm, so he decides to, him and some fellow passengers of the flight that was delayed decide to rent a car and drive to their destination instead. And on their way into a town, or like, I don't know, on the road into a town, there's a town nearby. They're stopped by a man on the side of the road who says like, I can't find my daughter, she's missing in the snowstorm. And they're like, oh my God, we have to help this man. And things start to get a little bit crazy from there. They end up going to this town, right? This small town, and then things get even crazier. So it's kind of like an isolated setting stuck in this town where there are things keeping them there and picking them off one by one. And that is similar to 30 Days of Night, where it takes place in Barrow, Alaska. There is a month where there is no sun because of the axial tilt of the earth. And the vampires are like, yes, excellent. They're like, why have we never thought about this before? This was a huge oversight on our part. And so they're like, this is perfect, all you can eat buffet. Well, kind of, like, also probably not a lot of people live there, but so the vampires are like picking off the people in this small Alaskan town one by one. And it's very fast paced. Like the camera work is very like fast because the vampires are very fast. And I got that in this too. It felt like, I feel like all of Ronald Malfi's work feels very cinematic when I read it. So maybe that's kind of that kind of also helped me make this comparison. The characters are moving around a lot, trying to seek shelter in different buildings, which reminded me a lot of 30 Days a Night. And so yeah, if you've read this, watch that. If you watch that and haven't read this, why not? You should pick it up. And my last suggestion today, if you watched True Detective Season 1 and you liked it, you should read All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. These are both really dark, gritty crime thrillers that have kind of like a religious undertone for sure. I shouldn't even say an undertone, like a religious hitting you in the face with it. So in All the Sinners Bleed, we're following a small town sheriff, and there is a school shooting, which like, it is explosive, right? And you're like, oh man, this really is gonna tear up this town. But it's like, oh no, this is just like the beginning of this crazy, deep, dark thing that's happened and has been happening for years and nobody knew about it. Like, it's this wild thing. And True Detective Season 1, oh my gosh, probably the best season. We're following Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, whose character's name is Rustin, and they call him Rust, and oh my god. If I keep thinking about it, because Lavi was really little, and I considered having another baby at that point. She was like maybe like a year and a half old, and when I was watching that, I was like, oh, if I have another baby, I'd probably name it Rust. So I always think about that when I watch that show. But they're following a serial murderer who is killing people, and like there's some sort of religious thing going on. It's really ritualistic. Well, anyways, that just about wraps us up. This is something I really love doing, although like it's a video that takes a long time, right? Because like not every book really, I can make flimsy connections, but not every book is like a good solid connection to a piece of media that I've watched, you know what I mean? So I have to watch a lot of shit, and I have to read a lot of shit, and I've got some other things on here, but it's like some of the books, it's like, oh, I can't really remember what that book was about now, so oh god. I just have to, I have like this long running list. Maybe I'll have to go back and like read some of the books again, or like flip through them. Anyway, I'd love to know if you've read any of these, what you thought. If you've like consumed both pieces of media and you agree or disagree, I'd love to know. If you have anything, any opinions on like, oh, I read this and it reminded me of this, or I watched this and it reminded me of this book. I love hearing those. If I watched this, I should read this. Love it. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you later.